This segment of the Alice Stewart Show is brought to you by the Countertop Store, Central Arkansas's premier countertop authority. For custom fabrication and installation of granite, tile, laminate, copper, and more. The Countertop Store, 888-510-4773.
That's what I needed this early on a Friday morning, the happy song. Wake me up a little bit. I'm Rex Nelson sitting in for Alice Stewart. Thank you for joining us at 21 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. In this segment, our guest is Robert Coon. Robert is a partner in Impact Management Group. That's a public relations, public opinion, public affairs firm with offices here in Little Rock and also down at Baton Rouge, Louisiana. His column appears every other Wednesday in the weekly Government and Politics newsletter from Arkansas Business. You can read him in Arkansas Business, always very insightful on the issues that are being faced. Robert, thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Rex. I appreciate it.
This week's column, and I know this issue really, to be honest with you, if you get deep down in the weeds, it kind of goes over the heads, including my own, of a lot of average people, and that is the issue of funding for the Export-Import Bank. To read the lead on your story, though, because there are profound political implications. You wrote, what initially started as a fault line between mainstream establishment Republicans and the more conservative Tea Party wing of the party has now grown into a chasm, and one that threatens to engulf every major policy issue coming down the pike in Congress. Again, something you said that is going to impact every major issue coming down the pike. Let's talk about this. I mean, from a broad sense, we've heard a lot about the gulf between the Tea Party wing and the establishment wing, and it now appears it's becoming wider, is it not?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think, what we're seeing is, while supporters of certain Republicans would rather them, kind of be taking on, the ideologies of Democrats in Washington, what we're seeing more often than not is, Republicans taking on Republicans. And clearly that's long-term not good for the party, because if it jeopardizes your ability to govern, then the public's going to lose confidence in your ability to do so.
The Export-Import Bank, or as it's called, the official export credit agency of the United States. Give us the Cliff Notes version for our listeners out there of exactly what that is and what it does and why it's become such an issue.
Sure thing, and I'll go ahead and give disclosure that it was over my head initially, too. I had the privilege of sitting next to a business owner from Hot Springs on a flight to D.C. a couple of weeks ago, and I heard him mention it to somebody, and so I asked him to give me the down low on it, and I'd kind of seen various news stories kind of popping up from time to time about this program and whether or not it was going to be reauthorized. So I took it upon myself to educate myself a little bit on it and found, the crux of this piece. Basically, XM Bank it's a bank in a sense, but it's also kind of an insurance policy in a sense, too. There are lots of businesses, large and small, that do business overseas, that are trying to sell products in foreign markets. Some of those markets are well established, Western Europe. Some of those markets are not well established, are a little bit riskier. You're talking your Africa, places like that. So the XM Bank, and there are about 60 other similar banks in other countries around the world, helps in two ways primarily. One, in some cases, yes, it provides credit or loan funding for a business that cannot get it from a traditional lender. Your Centennial Bank may say, well, we'd love to give you that line of credit, but, you're selling stuff in Northern Africa, and there's a good chance that deal doesn't get done, and we don't want to be left holding the bag. So there is a government backstop that costs money, by the way. These folks that use it pay a fee to the government, and the government, takes on some of that extra risk in order to facilitate that commerce. There's also a role that they play, and this was the specific role they played for this gentleman in Hot Springs, is that commercial lender may be more willing to keep that line of credit or make that loan to a business if the government will kind of provide more of an insurance policy to back it up. So some of these guys are still financing, business deals and export deals overseas with traditional lenders, but it just has kind of an insurance wrap around it that the government provides. And again, they're paying a fee for that service. So this is not, just some free government, program that, people can, just tap into.
Why has the Tea Party wing taken this on as an issue, in your opinion? What is driving that? Well,
it's been a target in years past, but not nearly on the scale that it is this time. And you've seen a lot of the, conservative think tanks and political organizations like Heritage.
Yeah, Heritage is big on it.
And some of these guys come out against it. I think, part of it has to do with the fact that you've got a government program, and that's kind of the big thing. Everybody wants to bash against government these days, and I'll be the first to say there's plenty to criticize, no question. But it's more of a target than it probably should be because it's successful. I think there are people that just have a purely ideological take offense to it ideologically. I think there are probably others that maybe see others that they think are not being given fair competition by those that are utilizing the program. So it's kind of the flavor of the day. It's heating up as this charter that XM has expires at the end of September, and so it's become kind of louder and louder in recent months that folks are trying to say, hey, we've got a successful program that helps businesses sell products overseas, it supports jobs here in the United States, and others have said, well, it's government, and government's bad, and we shouldn't be doing it.
By the way, I love looking at your column for this week, your first footnote, spoken like a true political consultant, and I will quote directly, just a reminder, kamikaze pilots don't win in the end.
I couldn't resist that little poke there. Anytime you kind of see people take upon themselves to put something on a crash course, you gotta remember how that really turns out in the end.
Absolutely, and there has to be some pragmatism here. This chasm, and we're not the chasm that we're talking about. We're not just talking about this issue, but others. Do you see the rift being healed inside the Republican caucus anytime soon?
Not anytime soon. I'm, with most of the primary season now getting behind us, I think you saw, in years past, the more conservative Tea Party wing made a lot of growth in the primaries in 2012, 2010. I think 2014 has been a little bit of a different case. I think a lot of the more mainstream establishment folks, Lamar Alexander, I believe this week, maybe last night, you have. Yep. Thad Cochran over in Mississippi staving off that challenge. I think the establishment guys have their feet under them again. Whether that results in more cooperation, I don't know, but it ought to at least embolden that establishment crowd a little bit that, hey, at the ballot box this time around, we're doing okay. And we're not getting picked off like we have in the past.
Thanks, Robert. I appreciate you being with us this morning. This segment brought to you by The Countertop Store. The Countertop Store specializes in the customization of your next kitchen or bathroom. Stop by The Countertop Store at 9817 Maumelle Boulevard or give them a call at 888-510-4773.